Whoop.
Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started here in a second. Sorry, someone just asked me for the link, so I'm going to send it to them. Okay. Again, good morning. Welcome to the Highway Parks and Recreation Committee meeting. Lori, would you mind going through and taking attendance?
Sure. The people that I see that are attending right now are myself, Brian Backus, Chief McManus, Denise McGraw, Earl Lamani, Janet Wynn, Josh Hawley, Julie Lohr, Laura Robertson, Matt Yetto, Michelle Martinelli, Bill Lawrence, Rosemarie, Paul Briggs, Pete Ravicka, Ray Smith, Linda O'Brien, Stan Faminsky, and Yasmin. Have I missed?
Alexis Kim here.
Paul Sebesta.
Sorry. All right. I think I have everyone.
Thanks, Lori. Okay, can we get a motion to approve the April 8th meeting minutes?
I will motion.
Second? I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, the minutes are approved. Any public comment at this time? Okay, we'll move on to the Highway and Parks portion of the meeting. Ray?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're a little muffled. Try again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We'll start with number 3, water breaks, water-related breaks. It was two related repairs for the month of April. Attached a bill for that. Number 4, yard waste, the random pickup started in April. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, we're going to need to keep it at a random schedule. The scheduled pickup was supposed to start on the 11th of May. Due to the staffing and the social distancing, the way we have to do the work, we're going to keep it at a random pickup. That way we ensure all the residents get their pickup. We just won't have the day set for it at this point until we get clarification on how we're moving forward. Number 5, speed signs. The traffic logic sign that came in earlier has been installed on Windsor. The Public Safety Committee has recommended proceeding with the purchasing of the 4 additional signs, kind of the agreement that we had when we purchased the first one as a trial, and then move forward with these. So it seems to be working well. And we went through before, the need for the other ones. So we should just move forward with this. Number 6, Tentative paving schedule. As of now, I mean, we put out a paving schedule earlier in the year. Pretty much on hold. I've talked with Rich Keller and Tony Scavia from Water and Sewer Department. You know, we have the first 5 roads on the list. If there is a way that we can work on them, that's what we're targeting right now. They're staffing at 50%. They have the same challenges we do, basically doing essential work. But as far as right now, you know, pretty much everything's in limbo. If you have time to inspect things and come up with a plan, that's what we're going with. I've talked to Matt a few times. They're doing essential work too. So both departments have really missed out on about 3 months worth of routine maintenance that is essential to our departments, but doesn't meet the criteria to be essential for what we're allowed to do. So even upon the lift of this or loosening, you know, we all have a lot of back work to make up. So it'll be a slow go, and we'll see what we're allowed to do before we can really make a definitive decision on how we're going to move forward with this.
Ray or Matt, it's Denise. So I'm seeing
Okay.
some manhole covers marked around town. Is that Matt prepping for Ray's work?
Both of them. I have storm sewers marked
Yeah.
and the parameters of where the roads that are on the list, but we've only marked the first 5 just in case the crews are available to do. Kind of preliminary, Denise. We're not really moving forward. We're just identifying the work that does need to be done.
Sure.
So we're working together. I've talked with them, talked with Matt. You know, we're all in the same boat as far as making up for all the work that we haven't been able to do in the last 3 months. So,
yeah, I think what ends up,
Matt. Yeah.
his lips were still moving. I didn't know if he was talking and the audio wasn't coming through. Yeah, so we're sort of in the same boat. We're trying to figure out when we're going to be allowed to work. And like Ray said, even though it's very unclear what's essential and what's not essential. In our eyes, cleaning sewers is essential, but it's not an immediate issue. But it's going to come back to bite us, because if we don't clean our sewers, then we have backups and we have issues.
Right.
So that's stuff that needs to get done. That's all going to coincide with the highway work, because once we get the green light to go forward, we're going to have to play catch up, like he said, and then he's going to want to, and we're going to want to move forward on the roads as well. So it's important to try to get some guidance going forward. I know that the 15th is the date that everyone keeps using, but I'd like to try to get some clarification on what's essential and what's not essential, so that maybe we can start bringing some guys back and be more creative as far as how we separate crews, but still get our work done, because there's a lot of work that we're not doing that we want to get done. And I think Ray's in the same boat.
Sure. Thank you, Matt.
Go ahead, Ray.
I think he got knocked off.
Yeah, looks that way.
I don't see the actual paving schedule in the packet. I see the signs. It goes to meet the meeting.
It's not, yeah, it's not in there anymore. I think we had it at a prior, it is included. We had it in a prior meeting when we were initially talking about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the last meeting we talked about how once we reopen, there'll have to be a conversation had between Matt and Ray on which projects are gonna be booted from the list.
Okay. So if somebody can send me the paving schedule that was in the last meeting's packet.
Yeah, I think it was in March. I'll send it to you.
Thanks.
Ray back yet? No. All right. You know what? I'm going to move on to the top of page 2, discussions with the sports organizations about town parks use. So I asked Lori, oh, Ray's back. Ray, you there?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead. So why don't you finish up?
Okay, so, like, Matt was discussing, even upon the new rules or whatever, trying to achieve what is, required of us to perform our jobs as far as paving and all that is gonna take some work, I'm sure, for Matt and myself, as far as, creative ways to be social distancing, and I mean, that's pretty heavy work that we both do. It takes multiple people to raise manholes and prep roads and mills. So, we really have to see what the restrictions require us to do before that moves forward. So it's all in the details moving forward. So we can't really say, hey, the 15th we're out paving. So,
Well,
I'm sure.
Ray, we've
Go ahead.
talked about this. I think, the expectation is that we're still going to have social distancing, and, there'll be some precautions. We have, when you've been out, you've been working with masks even together. So,
Yep.
We've talked about sort of prepping for that world. That's not going to change dramatically.
Yep.
So work is going to have to, resume, and under those, those conditions.
And even upon, the new guidelines or whatever, like I said, I've talked to Matt, and I know myself, we have a lot of backlog work that just needs to be done. I can't see opening up something new, and leave stuff undone. So we'll work on that, I'm sure, respectively between departments, and it just may be a little late start date on paving and stuff. So that's how we'll proceed forward with that. I'll go to number 7, personnel. COVID-19 workforce restrictions. We're working 50% staff. So, with that many people, you're just trying to, we're doing the stuff that we can safely, and like I said, there's a lot of stuff that is essential to us that we just can't accomplish. We are addressing dangerous situations, trees, large washouts, whatever, putting cones on them. So we are out there doing it. We are doing the yard waste. So we are achieving something, but not to what we normally do. Hiring is on hold due to the COVID-19. We had put stuff in the paper and on the website prior to all this to backfill 2 employees that have retired. So that's kind of everything there is on hold. We still have 1 employee out on workers' comp. I have not heard from him. Not really much we can discuss on that at this point. So for resolutions for the highway department, I would say the purchase of the 4 signs. And also, Janet Wynn had brought to my attention that I have an employee that probationary period is up, and that will have to move forward through resolution as well. I can get that information to Alexis.
Okay, thank you. Ray, do you want to continue with parks? We lose Ray again? Okay. Again, while we're waiting for him, it's under parks anyway. I'd reached out to Lori Peretti, who maintains a list of youth sports contacts that use town facilities and parks, and looked like an old list. Wanted to touch base with folks, didn't know what folks' plans were, and of course knew also they were sort of waiting for things to open up at the town. So reached out, asked folks to if people were missing, to provide us with those contacts. And so we had hi Ray, I'm talking about our meeting on Monday with the sports folks. I'll circle back to you in a minute. Anyway, just to touch base with them, get updated contact information. We asked them to provide that to Lori Peretti so Lori could get an updated list. We're getting some of that back. And advised that, we'd be back in touch, that we anticipated if and when things were open, that there would be an expectation that they themselves would have a plan to present a general plan about how they would conduct their business on town parks and facilities. Following the rules, exercising social distancing, and so was it going to be a reduction in numbers? Were they going to modify the rules of some of their games, etc.? So again, just a real brief initial contact meeting, and told them about this, the highway meetings. I believe they've participated or certainly been invited to participate in those before, and will continue to do so moving forward. So that's pretty much it. Alexis, you were in on that call. Do you want to add anything about that initial, get together?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, we just talked about, really high level about perhaps doing some type of just like a one-page addendum for organizations that have existing license agreements, saying something along the lines of, a plan has been submitted to the town of Niskuna and how social distancing and, healthy practices will be maintained. Some type of, acknowledgement that the town of Niskuna isn't going to be responsible for ensuring that, for example, if there was a soccer program going on, that we're not going to be out there measuring 6 feet between each of the participants. We're going to rely on good faith in any, proposals that are submitted, and hope to, have an open conversation continuously throughout the season to ensure that, the public isn't under the impression that the town is supposed to be out there policing these organizations. And I think the initial one went well. Matt Yetto was on that call. He can probably speak to that, of whether or not Niskuna baseball thought that call was helpful. I know that the soccer, lacrosse, basketball, and I didn't even know we have a mountain biking organization. But yeah, look forward to coming up with a plan. I think it will be a week by week, even a day by day, progressive opening.
Okay, let's circle back to number 9, Ray, now that you're back.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, number 9, the parks closures. Supervisor Syed had put in her briefings, and town-owned playground, equipment, pavilions, picnic tables, outdoor grills are all closed to the public. Basketball courts, tennis courts, baseball fields, soccer, lacrosse fields, volleyball courts remain open to the public for passive use only, keeping this 6 feet distance. And the dog park is also closed. So these are just all parts of the order. We had put signage around the parks indicating this. So So I know there's concerns with that, but that'll stay in act until we get more clarification on how we're moving forward.
Yesterday during Public Safety Committee, Paul Briggs had made a comment. I'm not sure if he's on this call right now. He had said that he was at the bike path and noticed that, you know, some people are wearing masks, some people aren't, and that as compared to, I think he said he went hiking further up north and, like, you know, everyone was wearing masks and there was a lot more signage. I know that you said that you guys moved one of the signs temporarily for Arbor Day. Do you have plans to move back that electronic side to a different town park just to remind people? I mean, do we want to change the messaging from, like, you know, maintaining social distancing to wear a mask when you're in public? That was just an item that I know Paul said.
Yes. I had spoke with the chief on that, and we're gonna try to get that moved back down to Lions Park, and the chief has agreed to reprogram the writing on it, so that'll be done by the week's end.
So will the programming say reminder everyone should wear a mask, or because make sure maybe that whatever the messaging is, that it's in line with the messaging that's at the sign that's currently stationed at Blatnick Park?
Right. Yeah. We had this previous sign was down to Lions Park, and we also put one down to Blatnick Park. So he'll program it with the same wording that was on there before.
And Matt Yeto, you're good. You don't need those signs because they're your signs. So you don't need them for other efforts because there's not that much going on.
There's a understanding that if we need any of those signs for emergency purposes, we just take them. We just need to know where they are.
Yeah.
And we have all the keys and we can take them back. It's just out of courtesy. They let us know where they place them.
Great.
Or if we can, we move them with their help.
Sure.
We help them and they help us.
Great.
Okay, Block 7, we'd had this on the agenda last month as well. It's on hold. Ray, you know, has been in communications with those folks. I think they're putting up some signage, right? Are we still waiting for signage and barriers, Ray?
Yes, I was in contact with them, and due to the shutdown, apparently their printing company was shut down also. I gave them the information from the sign company that we currently use, and they were getting some poster boards made up, and she was going to get a hold of me so that we could place them in that kiosk. So upon that, I will open it up and put them in there.
Okay. Denise, do you have anything further on that?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right, Knott Street. So the county put forth their plan at their meeting on Monday, and it's attached. They asked us to allow them to do that before discussing it at the town level. So I will turn it over to the supervisor at this point.
Thank you, Councilwoman Jaketh. Again, I apologize for my blank screen. Still working on my computer camera. Hopefully you can all hear me at least. So with regards to the Knott Street Safety Improvement Project, as we're all aware, this has been a project that's been underway for a long time. Last time we all met at a very well-attended meeting. It was at Town Hall, hosted by the county. That was back in August of 2019. So since that time, you know, we as the town, we have compiled many emails. Our town planner, Laura Robertson, did a great job with that. We were conferring all of those over to the county so that they were aware of what our constituents were thinking, what business owners were thinking. In that time period, business owners and residents also reached out to county legislators. Our county legislators did a great job of meeting many times with business owners and residents near and around that area. So on April 24th, we met with county engineer, Department of Public Works. Councilwoman Jaquith and I attended. County legislators Constantine, Austerlich, and Pratt were also there. They unveiled the plan that they chose, that they felt integrated all of the concerns that they had heard, but the plan that also did the best job of addressing all of the traffic and safety concerns. So, so at that meeting, we were able to view the plan. We announced the plan to the public. And on May 4th, they did have their seeker discussion at the legislature, the meeting of the legislature. So that plan now is going to go to state DOT for approval, and then it's going to go back to the legislature for final approval. So that may take place as soon as their next meeting on May 14th. So construction, again, is not expected until the spring of 2021. So it's going to be a bit of time before anything gets underway. But the town also, we recognize that we have a very important part to play now in concert with the county. So we are going to also be engaging our own plan, hopefully, to address surrounding concerns. So we don't just want to look at Knott Street. Now we actually want to, as the town, also look at Crescent and Clifton Park roads, Via Del Mar, Almeria. So those are some of the things as the town that we are also going to be working with the county on to have a holistic approach of that entire area to not just have Knott Street be significantly improved, but also the surrounding areas. And we do still want to address the concerns of residents on Via Del Mar, Clifton Park, and Crescent Roads. So that's something that we will be continuing to do. If I left anything out, please, anybody jump in. But that is my message for now.
I think Laura Robertson, you're on. You can jump in. I think the plan and in the packet, there's just this kind of a screenshot of Google Maps just to show the areas that Supervisor Syed just referenced. But the plan, and I know Ray may have been involved in this, was to get engineering involved, like an engineer involved to look at possible mitigation plans. Originally, it was just going to be for Crescent Road, but we figured since a potential traffic issue might exist extending from Crescent through Via Del Mar, that we might as well add in Almeria and Clifton Park as well. But we have to, that would be the hope, and that we'll try to work and see if we can get some shared services money with the county. And that this, like, we have, a year to look into this, but that it's a top priority to make sure that we're at least getting the ball moving on this.
Yeah. Laura, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. Yep. I don't really have anything to add to that, just that the federal funds can't be spent on outside of the corridor that's on grid. So anything that the town does, and we've talked about this for a long time, to supplement the work that the county has been doing, which would be possibly figuring out some extra parking and safety on the Clifton Park and Crescent corridor, and looking at treatments for Via Del Mar, would be done, either with shared services grants or with some way of funding it that we will have to identify.
Okay. Mr. Lamani?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me, and hello to everybody who I've met before. And I'll keep my remarks brief. So I live on Via Del Mar, and I think we have a good representative case of a concern here for the surrounding roads. Our specific concern on Via Del Mar, and I would think it's Almeria's concern as well, is the fact that the plan has a commercial lot ingressing and egressing onto a small residential street. As everybody on this call, I believe, would probably know, Via Del Mar is zoned residential up and down on both sides, including the co-op parking lot on the south side of that, which I believe is grandfathered in. The public comment period for this project, and I think we all know the background here, this has taken forever to get this project to fruition. had Via Del Mar capped off, I believe, at the top on the north side to prevent any traffic from that lot coming up and down Via Del Mar. When we saw the plan that's currently in play and that's going to be voted on by the county legislature and the Times Union, we were surprised to see that there is no cap on Via Del Mar and traffic is free to come up and down Via Del Mar into and out of that lot. So our concern is obviously heightened traffic on a small residential street that is really not equipped to deal with it. I appreciate the focus here in Supervisor Syed's comments on in terms of coming up with mitigations. I think what's problematic about this particular aspect of the plan is that when you start to dive into the details of possible mitigations, none of them look really good. Capping the street may not be possible because large vehicles may not be able to turn around. School buses, garbage trucks, emergency vehicles. You guys understand all that. Making the street one way is not a great solution either because it would still invite potential additional commercial traffic in for that one way. You know, it's a fact, you know, we know on Via Del Mar that people will cut over to avoid the Balltown and not intersection. I think it's not a stretch for any driver in this area to make that decision. And then lastly, like signage and other, you know, common traffic mitigation methods, we're very skeptical that that would be effective. I think we all know that Old Niskuna has a lot of problems with speeding. There's ample signage, you know, residents are putting on signs. It doesn't stop the problem. So we're very skeptical that signage and softer mitigation strategies would be effective. So long story short, you know, we the residents would like to stay plugged in. We believe, or we'd like more visibility into the process whereby the town is going to make an accommodation here because it is a town road, it is zone residential, and the county would have to do some work on the road to facilitate that ingress and egress. We think, you know, from a lay perspective, that it's a zoning question. If it is, we'd just like everything to go through the process with high visibility. We'd like to have our voices heard, especially since the design changed after the public comment period, which is the last place where we really had the opportunity as residents to have our voices heard, at least at the county level. So that's the nutshell of the concern on Via Del Mar, and we look forward to staying plugged in. And again, I appreciate the offer to come and speak here.
We appreciate the comments, and the communication will continue. I spoke with Mr. Bramble last night, invited him as well to the meeting, and he deferred to you. I understand the concerns. We want. I live in Old Niskuna. I think I told you. I told Mr. Bramble I'm just a couple of streets over from you, so I understand, and we want to do the best we can, and we're going to work towards doing that. The entire town is, the town board is committed to that. So we'll continue to communicate, and we're hopeful by hiring we hope to communicate with the same engineers who are working on the county project, who've already done, the surveying and are familiar with the area, and hope to effectuate some taxpayer savings by using them because of that, and to address mitigate the peripheral issues. So we will work on that.
Thank you.
And Rosemary, like we were talking, the intent of going out and hiring an engineer to look at different treatments that we have on all the adjacent streets. Obviously, then we can understand what the cost would be for the town conducting any of the work, but also would allow residents and surrounding property owners to look at the treatments and look at them with us, and we can have a conversation about which one makes the most sense.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Laura.
And Laura, you have that money to hire an engineer in your budget right now?
No, we're just going to MJ right now to get a quote of how much it would cost for them to look at the corridors.
Okay.
All right, Tree Council.
So Tree Council had a really successful Arbor Day, way more successful than I thought it was going to be, and I apologize for the traffic problems. And I apologize to people who didn't get any trees. We had 20 more trees ordered, but because of COVID-19, the Persian lilacs didn't come in. And I think that we would have been able to serve probably all the, well, not all of them, but we would have only turned away 5 or 6 cars instead of 30. But anyway, I thought it was really great. I appreciate everybody's help. Ray and his guys were amazing. And Ray, I just wanted, I think I said this already, but I was talking to them when they were getting ready to plant the Arbor Day tree, and they had trees on their trailer for street tree plantings, and they were tupelos and sweet gums. And I got really excited because that's diversifying the species, and it's it's doing what we're trying to do as a tree council, which is not have single species in the town of Niskuna, which are vulnerable to then losing all our street trees in one go. So I was really excited that they had gone and picked those out on their own, and they were planting them. And I'm very thankful for that. And I guess the only thing that's left right now for the Tree Council to do, and we talked about this a little bit, is we have this order from fall of like tricolored beeches and hackberries and a sourwood and these dawn redwoods that we had originally intended to plant. And so I don't want them to hang out in the nursery for too long. So I just need to get with you guys and figure out where to plant these. We might be able to put one or two more at town hall. I know you and I talked about maybe putting the witch hazel at town hall, and I was thinking maybe a tricolored beech over by the police station, because I think there used to be a tree there and it died. And a tricolored beech is small and it can handle shade. But the other place, and I don't want to spend too much attention in one place, but I know that you guys are really busy and COVID-19, you're really reduced workforce. Is there still some spots on Lexington? And understanding there's a water line that goes down the middle, Matt, I know that now. We maybe could pop a few more on Lexington so that we're just doing some quick, easy plantings that'll add value to the town and maybe not overextending you guys.
Well, that would be nice.
Does that seem okay?
We can work with you on that.
Okay.
We can work with you on that.
It's a matter of like, okay, we have these trees, like just putting the flags in place, coordinating with you guys and then saying, okay, go ahead. I just don't want to lose the trees at the nursery.
No, we won't. And currently when we can, we call in a few locations. We've been doing the replacement trees on the list that we have.
Yeah.
Using the variety that you gave us. So so when we get caught up on that a little bit, we'll get them other ones from the nursery. Hopefully by then, we'll be able to get out and mark some spots that we can look at on Lexington and that.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Thanks, Ray.
You're welcome.
Laura, did you want to talk about Union Street as well?
Oh, yes. I sent around the plans for Upper Union Street. I know that it's a county road, but I just kind of wanted to run it past, highway and get, any input that Ray had. I know Matt will look at it, at your committee too, because there's some sewer that was just redone in that area, right? But I just wanted to take a look at it. Right now, the design's at 50%. It's an old grant. It's like 4 or 5 years old, or maybe even more. So my goal is to get it to 90% and then do one more round of review with you guys. So still potential construction, late summer, maybe.
Laura, that there is a sewer that runs underneath the one side closer to the school. It's a very old sewer. We were going to replace it or enlarge it at one point, but it's surrounded by gas lines and a huge telecommunication bank of conduits encased in concrete. So we didn't touch it. So the work over at the top of it won't affect it.
Oh, okay. Ray, did you get a chance to look at it?
I did not, Laura. I know one of the things had talked about previously was the crosswalk, correct?
Yeah, so it's a crosswalk with like an island refuge in the center turning lane. I mean, it's short. It's not taking up the center turn lane for the entire Upper Union Street. But you know how the county is, and it would replace the existing crosswalk. So you wouldn't have two crosswalks that are that close to each other. I think it moves the existing crosswalk like, I don't know, 60 feet towards Schenectady. And, and so then we'd move that beacon. And then, you know how the county is, they will probably be like, oh, great idea. You can build whatever you want to build, but you're going to have to maintain it. So the way that it is, the way that it's proposed right now is it has like a welcome to Upper Union Street sign, because it's supposed to be part of like a, it's kind of trying to mirror the, Schenectady Upper Union Street. And so, the point is it would be sort of welcome to Upper Union Street, and there would be a synergy between Niskuna side and the Schenectady side, with the little pocket parks that are made out of brick, and the city of Schenectady's pocket parks that are made out of brick.
I don't know what the right of way is, Laura. I know we only, at this point, maintain sidewalks as far as snow removal and a little bit of brush trimming where they're vacant, like on the corner of Balltown.
Mm-hmm.
We had cut all that brush back. I don't know what the right of way is, and I would suggest, because we don't have a lot of structures in the middle of a road, that we definitely work with the county. It may, because they plow the road.
Yes.
And it may, I would definitely, before your final approval of your plans, I would run that by them.
Yeah.
Only because there's not a lot of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they had to write a letter saying that they were going to be okay with it, because we wouldn't even have been awarded the grant money if Schenectady County didn't say, we'll work with you. But yeah, we should definitely get their input.
Definitely. I would suggest before we go through all this and get a final plan, and then them say, well, we didn't realize there was an island. And it's just a new thing, Laura. It's not that they would oppose it. It's just, I think they should be aware of it.
Well, of course, it's, a pain to plow around. And we're trying to, and like, you could take a look at it. The idea was to put vegetation in there that like doesn't need to be mowed, but still stays looking good. Like it's low grow sumac. I don't know if we have any of that around town hall. But that way you don't. No, you know how you guys have to mow in the middle of the Rexford Bridge Circle, which I think is just so dangerous.
Yeah, thank you for that.
But yeah, so that there would be limited maintenance. I mean, this isn't as dangerous as the Rexford Bridge Traffic Circle, but it would hopefully have limited maintenance. But I'd want you to take a look at it, and we'll coordinate it with the county. And if you have any other thoughts, just let me know.
Okay, that's fine.
Laura, you want to continue with the bike path?
Oh, sure. The pedestrian grant, we have the ability to actually start incurring expenses, even though the contract isn't signed. DASNY is an unusual grant in that once the project has been identified, you're okay to incur costs, because you can get reimbursement from the moment that the legislature recognizes that they are awarding you the money, or potentially, it's always potential, by the way, but to the end of the project. And I know we talked, because the pavers had locked in their really good price for paving. It's entirely, work dependent on you guys' level, but you are okay to proceed with the repaving from the Rexford Bridge Traffic Circle to all the way. It goes all the way down. Where does it go to? Riverdale? Or is it even farther than that?
I think it was Riverdale last time we spoke about it.
It starts at Riverdale and goes to Aqueduct Road. And just so that you know, they have reached out to me. They're still willing to do it. They would like to do it now.
Really?
And I would also mention that oil being at a all-time low, and when we do our paving bid, there's a de-escalation clause in there. So even the price of the asphalt right now is lower than actual bid price. So if it was something we were considering doing, I would move along. This is like something that they're willing to do for us, but I'm sure the offer will not stick around.
Yeah.
I think the concern was that, folks are out and about and that we'd be taking away, one of the few spaces, right? We had talked about this before, that we'd be taking away one of the few spaces where they can walk. Having said that, that's news. The fact that, we can do it for less and that they're willing to do it. I don't know what does committee members think?
Yeah, what is the timeline, Laura? So when you said that they're ready and willing, able to do it, does that mean that they could do it tomorrow? Or, if we have concerns about taking away a place for people to walk, but, we're going to start phase reopening as we know it right now, after May 15th. When can you speak to that, or Ray? Also, it might be helpful to know, would any of your crew need to be involved, or would this solely be like a contractor, subcontractor type situation?
Ray, Laura?
Under the current contract that they would be paving under, as far as what we bid out, what they're willing to pave it under, my crews would just have to do the mill cuts at the intersections. That would be it.
Do we have a timeline? Sorry.
They would like to start tomorrow.
No, how long?
Really?
How long is the project, Ray? Sorry. How long?
I'm guessing that the project would take probably close to a week if they had a week of good weather, and it would be in segments. Obviously they would like start at Riverdale, do to, through the front of the park, and probably end at Line Drive one day. It's actually pretty creative the way they have to do it, because it's one truck in, one truck out. They can't have a line of trucks because obviously they can't pass on the bike path. So it does take them some time, but because of the lack of work right now, they are willing to do it.
So what do folks think?
Well, so what action needs to be taken? Is this a town board action? Is it something that could be that could be started tomorrow and they'd be comfortable not signing a contract until our May 26th meeting? Or is this something that's already been authorized? Or does it not need authorization because it's not an expenditure of funds?
It is covered in the bid that Ray does for paving. So I think the procurement code is satisfied. The only thing that we would probably do, just to make sure that all of our ducks were in a row, if Ray was satisfied and the town board was satisfied, would be, I think I would just get a letter from Sam's, or just note to them, here's what we're doing, and just have something in writing that says, yeah, we understand.
So there's no barriers to, hypothetically starting tomorrow. Barriers meaning there's no steps that need to be taken legally to go forward with this project.
As far as displacing people that are going out to enjoy the weather, we could notify them of all the hiking trails around the wastewater treatment plant, the ones at the old Grange along the Leishakill. There are other opportunities. And as Ray said, it's only a small segment of the bike path that's shut down at any one time. I'd hate to lose the savings and the opportunity. They may not even to do it.
Yeah, agreed, Paul, agreed. Anybody else have any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree timing wise and the savings factor. If they can segment the path in such a way that, it's not going to be too disruptive, and hopefully they can do it within a week if the weather complies. And then we can, just make a good effort of communicating with the public about our other paths and other places to enjoy the outdoors. I think we should move forward.
This might be a Lori Peretti or a Julie Lore question. Is Leishakill now open? I know it was closed for the rainy season.
I don't know. Ray, do you know?
I do not know. But you know, really, it's a small section at a time. We can close it. They can, you know, there's a lot of waypoints in between that, you know, if we're doing the part from Riverdale to Line Drive. So we post that section as closed. They can park at Line Drive and ride towards the circle. So once we get beyond that point, we close it from Line Drive to the circle. So they can also walk along the side of the paver. It's not something that we really want to promote, but if there was a couple people that were walking down the path, they can walk around the outside of them. They might not be comfortable doing it, but it can be done.
Okay, so let me reach out to Sam's and just let them know what's going on, and I think, and then I can just get something from them in writing and send it to you, Ray. Does that sound good?
Yeah, Laura, that would be great, and the sooner the better, because I can, you know, for the little bit of milling I have to do to get them up and running, I can definitely and would like to set a date with them. He's been calling nonstop, wanting to get something. So before everything else loosens up and they have an opportunity to go somewhere else,
Get something done.
because this is a great savings.
Okay. And then the other thing I was going to do on that grant is we talked about, I had the Weston and Sampson quote attached to my EDHP EC agenda. It is, I think, technically within the procurement policy, but just to be on the safe side, I'll reach out and get 2 more quotes and have, you know, I would say something equivalent to the Weston and Sampson proposal for designing those crossings. It could either be Weston and Sampson or a different engineering company for approval at the end of the month.
Okay, sounds good. So just to, you know, finish and tie this up, it sounds like we have consensus on moving forward on, you know, the bike path grant, paving. Does anyone object? All right, so let's move forward with that. Thanks, everybody. And then we're going to move on to item 14, River Road Park softball field grant. Supervisor, are you going to speak to that? Or someone else?
Well, I'm sorry. Sorry, Ray.
I'll defer to, I will defer to Laura or Ray on that one.
Okay.
I have gotten an email from Barnum and Judas that they have their full estimates ready and they are ready to share them. And so I just trying to schedule an internal staff meeting so that, you know, Ray and Matt and Josh and Pete and Lori, I think I sent it to you, right, Lori? We can take a look at what Barnum and Judas has and just make sure that it works internally for us, give them direction, and then we can open up that proposal and have all the interested, you know, the softball parties and everybody take a look at it next week. So we're trying to organize our internal meeting Thursday or Friday, I think Thursday potentially. And then we would hopefully be able to schedule a meeting next week, you know, with softball and the other people who are interested in looking at the project.
Okay, thank you.
This just came to mind when we're speaking of River Road Park and Nisuna softball. During our meeting that Councilwoman Jaquith referenced at the beginning of our meeting this morning, there was a question, I believe it was from, was it Niskuna softball? They were asking if they could have 3 people out there maintaining and just upkeeping the softball fields. Is that the question? I mean, Ray or Lori, do you remember that question being asked? We said we'd get back to that.
That was the question. They wanted to know if 3 of them could go out and start maintaining the fields while they are still closed.
Yeah, did we get back to them with the answer? Because I mean, and does anybody on this call have a view? I think that is, I mean, I know that you can't be doing, you know, decorative like type landscaping projects, but this would just be general maintenance, so it's allowable. But I don't know from, you know, past practice, is that right? Is this something that would be okay for them to be doing for the COVID-19 and parks closure? Would we make an exception to allow them?
Well, I think they have a lot invested in them fields, Alexis. They've been maintaining them for the last few years. And I think the longer they sit and the grass grows in the infield and all that, a lot of their work that they have done will be lost. So, I mean, if they're just doing routine, mainly what they do is drag it a little bit, touch it up, keep the water out of the infield. I would say that would be okay. They have a lease, you know, just because the program isn't going. I think just to maintain and keep up what they've invested in them fields thus far, I think would be okay to do.
Okay, so I don't know, Larry, do you want to relay that's
I will
okay?
get back to them today, yeah, and let them know that it's okay.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the language of the supervisor Syed's emergency order, and it doesn't even fall in, because, I mean, it says they're close to the public, but they're not. It just doesn't fall within the realm, so we don't have to modify that in any way.
Okay, let's move on to the recreation community programs items. Lori?
Alrighty, for personnel update, in reference to the COVID-19 workforce, we've been all working from home, keeping our social distance. I know at the senior center, Edie is also working from home, and Linda and Robin, are working, but well more than 6 feet apart, making calls to seniors. So we are totally obliging by that. Our senior bus update, we sent out multiple blasts. I'm working on a Indeed application. We've had some issues with that in the past, only because we get people from other states applying and it gets a little muddy, but we did have an application come through. I sent him a civil service application for him to fill out. He's going to get it back to me. And I would like to do a phone interview before we even do a in-person interview once we're able to do that. So I'd like to keep moving on this. Do I think we're going to have somebody by the end of the month for a resolution? Doubtful, but so it may have to get pushed off to June, but we're keeping our fingers crossed. As far as the summer programs, both the release of the book and opening has been delayed because of the COVID-19. I did not want to put a book out that was incomplete and then have to keep changing it. So as soon as we are up and running, the book is going to be released and I will blast information on that. I did send out an online survey to all of our independent contractors that were running programs for us this summer, asking them if they were able to push their dates back, if the dates had fallen before we were opened up, and if they were able to push it back, would they be able to run their program with the restrictions of social distancing? We did have a few that came back and said they would be unable to. So unfortunately, our list is going to be a little pared down, but I'm still hoping that we will still have a number of programs once we're up and running. As far as registration and changes that we've made to registration, due to safety at Town Hall, we've decided to just restrict registration for programs to online and paper, no coming into Town Hall. There were only a handful of people that would come in and out, well, unless they were late for playground camp, but and we can make modifications for that. So I don't think that's going to be an issue. The one problem we definitely will have a problem with is when I am receiving civil service packets for all of the playground staff employees. They do have to come in with their paperwork and their ID. It takes maybe 5 minutes per person. And so we'll just have to set up some special modifications for that.
Lori, are you not doing that remotely? I know that the executive orders have allowed notary services to be done by video conference. So I mean, I could reach out to civil service if I would think that they would have some flexibility so to reduce the in-person need, to the extent they could hold up simultaneously, contemporaneously, their license and sign that way.
That would be unbelievable, because I will say that that's the one holdup we have. I know 99% of these kids, so I know their ID matches their paperwork. I know that it's them. But I know civil service has the requirements, so my hands are kind of tied. So if you could speak to them, that would be fantastic.
Alexis,
I would prefer to talk to civil service because we deal with them, and Janet can reach out. I might be away, but we have contacts. We can figure all that out. We don't need any help with that. Good idea.
Excellent. Thank you. The
Well,
town's,
it's an INS issue. It's not necessarily civil service. I'm sure you're aware of that.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't
I
hear what
didn't-
you said, Janet.
I said that the driver's licenses and I-9s and stuff, that's an INS issue, not a civil service issue. So
Oh,
not
okay.
all of the, yeah, so I mean, we can look and see what needs to be done, but there are many different organizations and requirements from the IRS, the state, the Department of Labor, INS, and civil service for when we process new hires. So, I mean, I can think that through and see what options that we have, but there are some documents that we have to have originals.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we're required to view the originals and sign attesting that we've visually inspected them. But we can look into any options.
Okay, that would be fantastic because that's our only one hurdle. Okay, great. The town's pool safety plan has been submitted. Department of Health is accepting the plans. They're not reviewing them at the moment until they get further clarification. But said they wanted to have everything in their hands so when the restrictions are lifted, they could get moving on it. We were hoping to have the pool inspection the week of June 1st to 5th, with the opening date of the pool to be June 20th, which is the Saturday before Father's Day. Keeping my fingers crossed. And as soon as I know something, I will let everybody know. As far as our Niskayuna Community Foundation grant, Lisa Stevens did an amazing job, put a lot of work into applying for both the grants for the community programs and the senior department. So now we're just waiting for follow-up questions that they usually shoot back to us before they have their meeting to make their decisions. So we're hoping that our application for a blow-up screen and projector to have movies at Town Hall and at the pool will be accepted. And I know there was a number of great items for the senior center that I'll let Linda talk about that she requested on the grant as well. So we're keeping our fingers crossed. And as far as the summer concert series, I'm going to let Julie speak about that.
Okay, hi everybody. Basically, we had 10 concerts scheduled for this summer. Probably by the end of February. It's supposed to be on June 4th. That was going to be the middle school jazz ensemble. I have reached out to Phil Pandori, and I'm just waiting to hear back from him as to whether or not, if everything is lifted and we are able to have concerts, if he thinks the kids would still want to perform. They very well may not, since they haven't really been able to be together to do any practicing or to continue in-person lessons and things like that. So there, I also reached out to, I've heard from a couple of the bands, and everybody's just sort of on a wait and see, what happens in the next few weeks. So as soon as we know whether we can go forward, I will reach out to all of the vendors and just let them know where we stand at that point. In terms of having the partners, as we call them, at the concerts, things like Stewart's donating ice cream and the pizza places for pizza night, and ShopRite coming to do their thing. I've sort of left all of that on hold as well. It just doesn't seem like the right time to be asking people for donations right now, with a lot of businesses suffering and things like that. Plus, it does present another, it's one thing to have a concert where people can social distance with their family into their little space onto the lawn, but to have somebody coming and handing things out just sort of sounds like that could be an opportunity for contamination. It just doesn't seem like that we might want to go in that direction. So I haven't reached out to those people yet. I have a list of the people that I go to, and if everything is able to open up and we think that is something we want to pursue, I can easily make arrangements with all of those groups as well. But kind of waiting for some guidance from everyone as to how we think we would want to proceed if and when, you know, we are able to hold outdoor concerts.
Great. And Julie, I forgot to add to the agenda the pavilions. Can you give us an update on the May and June reservations you have already booked?
Yeah, so there were only 2 reservations for May. I reached out to both groups and told them that, you know, asked them if they could provide me with a later date, you know, in the event that the parks were not open. The first one that was supposed to be this coming weekend, that gentleman reserves it for the Bladder Cancer Advocacy Group for a fundraising walk over at River Road Park. He needed to reach out to that organization, and he understood that with the park being closed, you know, they definitely have to push it off, but he hasn't been able to give me a new date. The other group was at the end of the month, and that was a weekday event at Blatnick Park, a GE function. And I have not heard back from that gentleman yet, but I don't think that will be an issue for them to push, you know, their event off. We had in June, I don't think we had anything until sort of the end of June. And there's a very busy weekend around the last weekend in June with a lot of graduation parties and a birthday party. And again, everyone is kind of on a wait and see basis. I know with the graduation parties, those are going to be fairly large events. So, you know, in following the CDC guidelines, you know, some of those people I think are going to have an issue, because I think they're looking at group sizes of a lot larger than the CDC is recommending. So we are going to have to talk about that once the parks, you know, even open up. But I've reached out to the June people as well and just asked that, you know, told them that they need to be prepared to, you know, to reschedule. And again, in terms of July reservations and August reservations, things, because of the state of the world, basically, reservations sort of have dropped off to nothing. Haven't had anything new, very few, nothing. I don't know if I had anything for July. I have something for August and something for September, but nowhere near the number of reservations we would have at this time.
That's too bad. All right. Well, thank you for that update. And as far as resolutions for the end of the month, we had on there to appoint or hire a bus driver, which looks like it may be pushed off to the next month, to appoint summer playground employees, and also to appoint town pool employees. So it should be a sizable, oh, and I'm sorry, and also the independent contractors. So it should be a sizable list. And hopefully by that date, we'll have a better idea what programs are and are not running and when we can run.
Lori, just for clarification, so when I was putting together this agenda, so the appoint town floor employees, you see there's a parenthetical. We did the resolution last month. Maybe Paul Sylvester or Denise can jump in. Is this gonna be updating that past resolution that appointed the lifeguards and head lifeguards as rec attendants just until they could complete certifications, or is this a separate resolution?
This was in addition to that. So the kids that need to have the lifeguards, I need to get their certifications before I can put them on as a lifeguard on a resolution. So there may be, I'm hoping that we can get it all done. Yeah, that it could be complete. But it all depends on when we can open up.
Lori, when you're appointing them as a recreation leader or a recreation attendant, I forget which one we went with. I think maybe we went with attendant. And then the resolution said upon certification, they'll be a lifeguard. I don't think you need to do a new resolution for that. When we get their certification, we're going to change their status with civil service.
That's the way I read it. Yeah.
Got it.
We did
Perfect.
that,
Okay.
We didn't have to do 2 resolutions because that's
perfect.
chasing your tail.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
For the larger list, so the list that we're going to have, that'll be about 30 kids, we will have to do that same thing because a combination of factors. Some of them are graduating from take the high school program, which now they really aren't able to complete. So we have to get them the completion of that course. And then they have 2 separate certifications. The ones that have their certifications, they've graduated from programs already. Their CPR, which they're trying to figure out with Red Cross right now, if they can do a CPR program entirely online. So at least they would have that piece. And then they would need their it's like a 1-day recertification program where they would actually need to get in the water. So we would have to put them on in May, at the end of May, if everything goes well. We all know that. And as rec attendants. And then they would get their recerts sometime in the beginning of June.
That would be great.
Okay.
And that is all that I have. Linda, did you want to speak? Linda O'Brien.
November 24.
So Linda's not with us, sorry. Okay. Lori, do you want to speak to any of the things that Linda would have spoken to?
Sure. Well, I know the girls over there have been doing an unbelievable job. Edie has secured a bunch of videos that she's been sending out constantly with instructors that normally do the programs in-house, but have been doing YouTube videos, and she's been blasting that to the seniors. Lisa Stevens does a weekly, unbelievable newsletter to the seniors that outlines trips and links, and you have to see it to believe it. It's a work of art. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Right. And they've been making phone calls, sending postcards to the seniors, and the seniors in this time when they're, a little anxious, have been feeling more connected. So I think it's a perfect solution, the best that they can do right now. Bob has still been taking a number of seniors to the market so they can get their groceries on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And they're also asking for donations of handmade masks that they will then put in plastic bags and hand out to any seniors that are in need of one. I know I've been sewing. My masks are not the best, but, trying to do what I can. So if anybody knows of anyone who likes to sew and would like to make masks, they're accepting donations.
Pam Moore, who I think a lot of us know from just school and other places, Pam has just been making them, and she would love to give them to the senior center. So I'll get that taken care of today.
That would be wonderful. Oh, much appreciated. Thank you.
Hey, Lori, I have a question. I know that Yasmin sent out a memo when they issued when Como issued the executive order requiring all passengers and drivers of, buses or, for hire vehicles to wear masks. And your contact information was there, I believe, say, if anyone needs a mask, request one. Have you received any requests from seniors riding the bus, or do they seem to have them?
I have received nothing. I think they may end up, if they haven't contacted me, I'm sure they would contact the girls at the center. And I don't know. Linda says she's here, but apparently having trouble with her audio. So I'm not sure if they've reached out to them, but I'm sure that if they have, they've gotten them a mask.
I think they have. My sense is that some of the seniors have reached out. I know some of them have reached out to me. I have brought over ones that I've had here. So I think they're all connecting. I don't think that we have a lot of regulars from the senior center who are wanting for a mask right now.
No, I think they're well cared for. I think that's wonderful. The girls have been doing a great job.
I have something really quickly, if I could jump in here. When you were just talking about the wonderful outreach that you've been doing with the seniors, and really thank you all for doing that. I've seen the communications, and I'm sure our seniors really appreciate feeling like they're still in touch with you all. One thing that I did have just as a suggestion, and you may have already thought of this, Linda may have already thought of this, or Lisa, or you, Lori, we are encouraging our folks to pay their bills online. So even if we do have phased reopening plan, it's going to be a little bit before we are going to have, or we're going to be processing payments in person, just until, you know, we're sure that we have all of our safety measures in place. And then, of course, we're going to be following state issued guidelines as well. So perhaps that's something that Linda or Lisa could do, is maybe like an online payment training to show seniors how to do it. And we have a new company that we're working with for payment processing called Invoice Cloud, and they have a lot of marketing materials to help out with that, to show seniors step by step, you know, this is how you access an online payment portal, and this is how you process the payment that way. So it's just a suggestion, but they're a great company. They have a lot of materials to work with.
That's a great idea. And yeah, I think that's a great idea. They said they're on it. So all is good. She'll make sure to put it in the letter and then just reach out to them separately on this.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks for the suggestion.
Yeah.
Lori, I think you missed a couple of items. Do you want to talk about the town safety plan and the community foundation grant?
I think I did. Was my mic off?
Sorry, maybe I missed that. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I haven't had my
I talked very
yet.
fast.
Yeah, she had both of them. She went over both of them.
Okay, sorry
We
about that.
talked about the
Me.
screen, Rosemary, the movie screen that she's trying to get from the foundation.
Foundation. Yeah, I was aware of it, but I didn't hear it. I haven't had my coffee yet. That must be it.
I'm
All
sorry.
right.
I talk at warp speed.
No, everybody else caught it. I missed it.
I'm sorry.
No, not at all. I'm sorry. Okay, Farmers Market Committee update. Supervisor and I, that's sort of been on hold. Actually, Councilwoman McGraw shared an article about a group that's doing sort of an online, farmers market, and I shared that with the rest of the committee. And I think it's people don't have the bandwidth, for certain things right now. So there wasn't, any reaction to that at all from the committee. And just as far as the farmers market plans going forward, obviously that is a place where people congregate. We haven't called it off at this point, but I don't think we have many interested folks at this point either. So we really need to circle back to that this month as things start to open up and see if that's going to happen and in what fashion, Supervisor. So let's commit to doing that this month, circling back with the committee online and seeing what they want to do, because we haven't heard from them. Communications, I'll send something and it's radio silence. So
yeah, absolutely, I completely agree. Just recirculating later in the month, because again, you're right. I mean, we have no idea timing wise how we're going to be phasing and reopening just as a state. And you're right. The amount of people that congregate in that side lot, just thinking about safety precautions and if we can even accomplish safe social distancing in that kind of setting. So yeah, it's something that we'll have to revisit.
all right, let's do that. See if we can get a meeting, get everybody online, and get some decisions made on that. I think we've covered everything else. Is there anything else anybody wants to discuss?
I actually have two quick questions for Ray. I know that the park bathrooms are not being opened until the parks can open officially. What about the restrooms at Lions Park? Because of how many people are using the bike path.
We have no intentions of opening any because of guidelines. I think with everybody else, all the bigger parks and stuff up in the area, with no way to keep them sanitized and clean per people going in them. I think the safe route until we get some guidelines as to what's acceptable and what's not from above us, I think we relook at it at that point. I understand what you're saying, but to invite people to something.
It definitely makes total sense to me. I had just had a bunch of people reach out to me asking, and I just wanted to check to see if there was any differentiation between Lions Park and then just the regular parks, just because of its proximity to the bike path. My other question is, with all the work and things that are going to be taking place at Lock 7, is Lock 7 still open to the public at this point until things begin, or is it closed, indefinitely?
From what we got from the Canal Corp, I mean, if they would have continued working, it would have been closed to the public, including the boat launch, kayaking, picnic area. I'm going to say, from what they led us to believe at our meeting, once they start working again, the bike path will be posted in the area where you enter it. The road will be gated off down by the bike path. So I'm going to say that it's not going to be open to the public. And I think that's part of what the poster boards are going to explain.
Okay.
Obviously, timeline for everybody has been pushed back, but I believe it will be closed off to the public until their project is complete.
Okay. With my contact being on the website for parks and stuff, I get a lot of calls from people out of the area wondering about the status. I have told them pretty much exactly what you just said. The only other information I can give them is the phone number for the Lock House, which I have passed along. Whether they're reaching anybody there or not, I have not heard back.
I don't believe it's occupied.
Okay, and that's the same for the public boat launch for right now. I mean, can people put their kayaks and things in up until work commences?
I think they do have some signage up there right now.
Okay.
I haven't been back down there, but they had closed the marinas on one day, and then apparently they opened marinas up within a few days later. So I know they did put some signs up. I would personally deter them from going there. But as soon as I get the poster and some explanation as to what they're gonna do, I will get that to you so that you can either post it on your site or at least have the information to pass forward to people who contact you.
That would be great. That would be great.
I was there over the weekend for a hike, and there is a road closed sign just prior to the bridge. There's no barricade. I parked prior to the road closed sign. Several people were driving up to the launch area in cars, and I watched about 3 boats launch in the 16 to 19 foot range, launch and pull out. So they're using it. They're ignoring the signs. There's no firm barricade.
Okay.
I think once work resumes, Paul, I think that will be closed right off, was their initial plan.
Right. I guess people can't read.
All right.
That's a fact.
Ray.
I have one other item, Rosemary. People have purchased block parties, which they normally do. Usually around Niska Day, there's some block parties in Palmer Avenue area and that. Do we want to distribute the ones that are already there? Do we want to just say no at this time and give them an option of rescheduling or refunding?
How does that work? Who do they contact, and do they contact?
They pay the clerk's office and take the block party permit out. We deliver the signs. But people get these in advance because of Niska Day. They like to have their traditional block party. Our highway part of it is just delivering the signs, but do we want to do that, or do we want to try to either get them to reschedule or to refund them their money?
So that all goes through Michelle, is that right?
Yes, she collects the money. We just deliver the signs.
All right, I'll coordinate with Michelle, but given, I don't know what the dates are, et cetera, but obviously right now, large gatherings are not permissible. So maybe Michelle can do what Lori's been doing, which is trying to see if people want to reschedule, similar to what she's been doing with the pavilions. But I'll talk to Michelle about that list and about reaching out. Okay.
Okay,
now-
because we have a couple coming up within the next week or so. So I just want to have a
Yeah.
grip on it. I don't really want to promote something that, I mean, they may be more than willing to just cancel it or reschedule. So I just
Right.
wanted to make people aware of that.
Yeah, they may have forgotten or not be thinking about it again. People's bandwidth is pretty constricted right now. So I'll talk to Michelle and make sure she reaches out to, especially to the folks that are coming up, and see what's what, and make sure she or I communicates with you about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anything else? Okay, we need to schedule the June meeting. The first Wednesday in June is June. Hi, Taylor. How are ya? Taylor.
All day.
June 3rd, Wednesday, June 3rd at 8 a.m. All right, what do you think? Taylor, you're going to be available June 3rd for the meeting? All right, can we get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
I will second.
All in favor? Any
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? All right, everybody, have a great day.
Have a nice day.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye.
Bye, Taylor.
Bye, Lily. Bye, Lily.